Hey guys, today we're going to be trying out brand new makeup from Sephora and Ulta, and some of this hasn't even released yet, so it's all really new, but I'm excited to test everything out and just give a first impression. We're going to do a wear test as well, so we'll know how it wears throughout the day. And just quickly, I already did my brows just because I find it easier to do those off camera. I use the Rare Beauty brow gel, and I usually brush my brows up first, set them into place. I wait a couple minutes, then I go fill them in with the NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen in the shade Ash Brown. So that's been my brow routine for quite a while now, and I just love both of those products so much. And on my lips, I'm wearing the ColourPop Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Balm in the shade Watermelon Sugar. Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head, but these are amazing. If you want a really super close dupe for the Summer Fridays lip balms, these are perfect. All right, so I do have the new Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Gel Tint, which I am so excited to try out. I mentioned this in my recent buy or buy video where I was talking about new releases, and I mentioned that I definitely wanted to try this, and they sent it in PR, so we're gonna be applying this. But before that, I wanna do my eyes just because if there's any fallout, I don't want it to mess up the foundation. So I don't have any new eyeshadow palettes, but also in that video talking about new releases, I mentioned that About Face has some new holographic eye paints, and I really wanted to try one, so I ended up buying the shade Little Twin. I'll show you what this looks like really quick. These look so pretty. This one looks like it's purple, but it also shifts to a couple of other colors. I'm not even sure which, but it looks gorgeous. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on my hand. I was so curious about the formula. I know that they have other eye paints. They have matte ones and shimmery ones, but I thought these holographic shades just looked really right up my alley. So here's what the shade Lil Twin looks like. It actually kind of is a little bit more pink than I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be more purple than this, but I mean, it does have a little bit of purple to it, but also if you look at it a certain way, it can look pink. So anyway, I'm just going to put down some matte shadows on my eyes first as a base, and then I'll put this on top. So for the base, I'm going to use my Stone Cold Fox palette from ColourPop. This is usually what I reach for if I want cool tones. So before I do that, I'm just going to put some eyeshadow tape, and it's funny because I've had this tape for years and I haven't been using it. And then recently I saw a tutorial from Smitha Deepak here on YouTube, and she has the best eyeshadow tutorials for hooded eyes, and she was using this tape, and I was like, why did I ever stop using this? Because it makes it so easy to put your eyeshadow exactly where you want. So I just like to kind of stick it at the angle that I want my eyeshadow to go, like in the outer corner of my eye, and at the place where I want it to stop. Some people follow their lower lash line, but my lower lash line goes very straight this way, and I feel like the tape would go kind of out over here and my eyeshadow would be really wide. So I usually don't follow my lower lash line, but you can if you want. So to start, I'm gonna pick up the shade Enigma, and I'm just gonna start applying that to my crease. This is the BK Beauty A503 brush. And what's great about the tape is you don't have to be too careful because the eyeshadow is just gonna stop where it's supposed to. And if you're looking for eyeshadow tape like this, I mean, this is Sephora collection. Like I said, I've had it for years, so I have no idea if they even still sell this, but I'm sure it's something you can get on Amazon, and you can probably get it even cheaper over there. I know some people like to use Scotch tape, but I find that when I've used that in the past, it really like tugs at your skin. This tape is a little bit gentler, so it's more like masking tape. I mean, if you have masking tape, that could work as well because it's not as sticky as Scotch tape and it'll peel off a little bit easier. All right, next I'm gonna use this taupey gray shade called Fascinated right down here. And I'm just picking this up on the A502 from BK Beauty, and I'm putting this one a little bit lower in my crease and then focusing it on the outer corner. All right, then I'm gonna go just a little bit deeper with this shade called Bold Type right here. It's like a darker gray. And I'm just gonna focus this mainly on the outer corner of my eye and blend it back toward the middle. This is the Rephr #1 Mini, which is a nice small flat brush. All right, so I think my base is done. I'm just gonna pull off the tape, and you can see that it just leaves more of like a lifted shape, but there is a harsh line there. So I'm just gonna do a little tiny bit of blending to get rid of that because it looks really obvious. And you can definitely use a brush for this. Sometimes I just do this with my finger just to kind of soften it. If you use the brushes you were just using, you're gonna add more color, whatever's left on them, and it kind of messes up the edge. So if you are gonna use a brush to do this, just grab a clean one. But I find that it's sometimes easy to use my finger. And I just run it along that edge and make it a little bit softer. All right, so now I'm gonna use the About Face eyeshadow in Little Twin. So I'm just gonna start applying this with the applicator. I may have to smudge it with my finger. We'll see how it applies. But ooh, this is looking so pretty. It's really shiny and very smooth. There's not a lot of glitter. I feel like this is more of a metallic formula, but it's very smooth. It's not patchy at all. And then I'm gonna take that little A502 brush again, and I'm just gonna run this right along the top edge just to blend it into my skin a little bit and just get rid of that harsh edge on the top. But I'm gonna leave the rest alone. I don't think it really needs any blending. It's very smooth. It reminds me a lot of the Stila liquid eyeshadows. And this color is really pretty as well. It seems to have a little bit of a blue shift to it, so it goes kind of from purple to pink to blue. Super beautiful. All right, I'm just gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. I'm gonna just apply it with the brush. I like that this isn't goopy because it really makes it so that you don't have to blend it. Sometimes when you blend liquid eyeshadows out, that's when they start to get patchy or they just lose some of their intensity. So I don't like to blend them if I don't have to. Overall, I think the effect of this eyeshadow is pretty subtle. I was expecting something a little bit more impactful, I guess because maybe I'm used to wearing a lot of glitter these days. And this is just really more of a metallic. Like I said, it might have teeny tiny little glitters, but it's not even super shiny either. I think as it's drying, it's kind of becoming more subtle. So in a way, I'm a little bit disappointed when I look at this in the bottle. It just looks so shimmery and shiny. And on my eyes, I mean, it looks good, but it's just not, I guess, as wow as I was expecting it to be. So I don't know. It's fine, but I feel like my Moira Diamond Days eyeshadows give a lot more pop than this does. So maybe it's the color that I got. Maybe some of the other shades are better than this one, but I can't complain about the formula. I think, like I said, it looks really smooth. It performed really well. We'll see if it creases throughout the day, but from what I've heard about these shadows, they're pretty long lasting and don't crease. So I don't know. I guess I was just hoping for a little bit more. All right, so this is the Grande Wrap Luxury Tubing Mascara. I got this at Ulta. So on the box, it says that this is formulated with anti-smudge tubing polymers that wrap each lash and locks them in for a defined, lifted, and extended look. It's also supposed to be lightweight and condition your lashes, so I'll just show you what the tube looks like. And I did check the ingredient list to make sure that this doesn't have prostaglandins in the formula, because that's what the Grande Lash Serum has to help grow your lashes. And I wanted to make sure that they didn't put that into this formula because that stuff irritates the heck out of my lash line. And I know that for some people, they can have unwanted side effects too. So I'm not even gonna like risk my eyes with that stuff. But this doesn't have any of that. So I'll just show you the brush. This looks a lot like Benefit's They're Real with the little ball on the end, like the spiky ball. And it's a nice skinny wand, which I really prefer. So, all right, let's put this to the test. So, okay, so far it seems like kind of a drier formula and there doesn't seem to be a lot of product on the brush. I'm just gonna put this back in and grab a second coat because I really wanna build this up and see how big I can make my lashes. And I like the little spiky ball on the end because you can take that and really flare out the lashes at the outer corner or at the inner corner where it's hard to get the rest of the brush. So I really like that. It's a nice little detail. All right, so here is one eye versus the other. I do think I got a lot of length out of this, maybe not quite as much volume, but usually I'm looking for length when it comes to mascara. So I do really love how this made my lashes look, but I also felt like it took quite a few coats to really get it there. I had to just keep building and building. And this is the very first time I've opened this, so hopefully it'll just continue to keep getting better and better because that's sort of been my experience with most mascara. mascaras is that I like them okay initially, but then they just get better. I know that the Hourglass Tubing Mascara was like that for me in the beginning. I felt like it was just sort of okay, and now it's my favorite. So we'll have to see how this one holds up. But one thing I do want to mention is the brush feels very cheap. Like as I'm combing this through my lashes, it feels very lightweight and kind of plasticky, almost like the e.l.f. lash extender, except even this brush, I feel like it's almost a little bit more substantial than this Grande one. And if I compare it to the brush on the Hourglass one or something, or the Thrive, those just feel so heavy and luxurious for the price. And this mascara was not cheap. It was $25, so it's about the cost of the Thrive. But when I compare the tubes, this one just feels as cheap as the e.l.f. one does, and this is $7. So that's just one thing I noticed about the brush as I'm using it. It just feels, I don't know, it feels very flimsy. And that's not really what you would expect from a $25 mascara. So I don't really like that about it at all. And I think that's part of the reason why I feel like this brush isn't gripping to my lashes as well. And it's making it hard to add coats because usually if you get a brush that creates more tension on your lashes, you feel like you're really getting the product in there. And with this one, I feel like it's almost just kind of skimming the surface because the brush is so light, it's not grabbing my lashes enough, if that makes sense. I don't know, it just seems like it's kind of gliding over them, but it's not grabbing them. So, all right, here's what the mascara looks like on both eyes. I feel like it's okay. It's not wowing me at the moment. Again, this is just the first time that I've tried it, but I think the brush definitely leaves something to be desired, and just the overall application, I felt like I had to just keep going over it. Like if you compare it to something like the Thrive or the Hourglass one, just in one coat, those give you such big lashes. And with this one, I felt like I really had to work hard for it. So I don't know that it's necessarily worth replacing the Thrive with this, even though it's just the first time I'm using it. It's basically the same price, and I don't get any bigger lashes with this than I do with the Thrive. So even just right away, I can tell you this one is probably not worth it. All right, let's move on to foundation. Again, I have this new Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Gel Tint. So they sent me two shades, number 2 and number 3. And I looked at the shade chart and I figured number 3 maybe looked a little bit cooler toned than number 2. So I wanted to start with that one, and when I swatched it on my hand, I felt like number 3 is the right depth for my skin, so I can imagine shade 2 is probably even lighter, and I wouldn't want to go lighter, so I didn't even bother opening that one. But let me just show you what shade number 3 looks like. So here it is. I feel like this does have a little bit of a cooler undertone, maybe a slight pink tint. So hopefully it'll be a good match for my skin. And this has a lot of interesting claims. First of all, it's coming out February 28th at Milk Makeup's website, Sephora, and Kohl's. And then it'll be at Ulta on March 2nd because Milk Makeup is going to be coming to Ulta. So if you didn't know that, that's just another fun fact. Then they sent this whole booklet about it. I'm not going to like read everything, but it says that they've been working on this formula for 3 years and they went through 50 different iterations. So it says that it's clinically proven to boost your skin's hydration by 24%, so your makeup won't get dry, cakey, or settle into fine lines. So it sounds like it's going to be great for dry skin, but also it sounds like it would be good for oily skin because it's a gel formula. It's supposed to give 12-hour wear. It also has no fragrance, no silicone. It has 3 weights of hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, squalane, blue agave extract to keep your makeup gripped for 12 hours. And it also has aloe water and hemp seed oil. So it sounds like it has really great ingredients. I'll just quickly show you what the packaging looks like. It comes in 15 shades and you're getting 1 fluid ounce of product. So I'm just going to take the little swatch that was on my hand and I'll put it on my face so we can see if this is a good match. Yeah, I think it actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look overly yellow on my skin, so I think this is going to be a pretty decent match. They did send me a brush also. It's just like this little angled, very dense brush. So I'm just going to use this, I think, to apply it with. So I'm putting some on the back of my hand. One thing I will say is this feels very thick. I wasn't expecting that out of a skin tint, but I'm just gonna put like a dot on my forehead, dot on my cheek. And also it feels extremely emollient. I was expecting from like the whole gel texture thing, I was expecting something very light and refreshing. This is not that. This actually feels like a very rich moisturizer on my skin. So I think if you're dry, that could be a really good thing. If you're oily, I don't know. I was thinking this was going to be great for oily skin types, but now I'm not really so sure, because if you think about all those ingredients that were in the formula, like the squalane and the hyaluronic acid and hemp seed oil and aloe, like all of those are just very, very hydrating ingredients. So I don't know. I actually think the coverage is very good though for a skin tint. I would say I got probably medium out of it. So this is the side with the foundation and here is without. So, I mean, I definitely see a difference. I think it evened out my skin really well. I can just barely make out the dark spots on my cheek. And if I touch my skin, it does feel kind of sticky, like the Hydro Grip Primer. So again, I don't know if that's something that's going to dry down over the course of the day. We'll have to see. But my skin does look very dewy, very plump. This just adds a ton of moisture back in. I applied the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream before this video, and I feel like I'm just applying another layer of that basically. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying this to the other side. I wonder how this would blend with my finger. Yeah, I mean, it feels exactly like a moisturizer. It's just super dewy, but at the same time, it's gripping to my skin really well. I can see where the whole gripping thing comes in, because a lot of skin tints feel greasy, like they're just gonna slide off your face. And even though this one feels dewy, it's like it has that grip to it. It has that stickiness factor, which I don't know that I necessarily love, but if it's going to sink in after a few minutes, then I don't mind it so much, but we'll have to see how it wears. It's definitely giving my skin a ton of glow, as you can see. It's like that very glass skin effect. I'll just zoom you guys in so we can see a little bit closer. So one thing I'm noticing right away when I look up close is that my pores and the texture on my face looks a little bit more prominent than usual. And I think that's just because of the glowy, dewy finish. It just tends to highlight all of that a little bit more than a more matte finish would. But at the same time, I think it's a really plumping formula. It feels just like a moisturizer, so there's absolutely zero dryness, there's no cakiness or clinging or anything like that. So it does look really good in that regard. And also, I think the coverage is really, really good for a skin tint. So I am really curious to see how this is going to hold up throughout the day, because right now, I don't know how to feel about it. I like how dewy it is, and it just makes my dry skin feel so like comfortable and moisturized. But also, I feel like all of this glow is maybe just a little too much. So I'm thinking as the day goes on, especially because it's like 10 degrees here and I'm going to be going outside later to pick up my son. So the extra moisture will probably be a good thing. But would I like something like this in the heat of the summer and all the humidity and all of that? I don't know. Maybe not. I guess we'll just have to see as the day goes on. So let's move on to blush. I have 3 new shades of the Huda Beauty blush filter that she sent over. And I can say with all honesty, this is my favorite liquid blush formula ever. Like, these are the ones that I reach for 9 times out of 10. When I'm off camera, when I'm home, I have them in all the other colors that they come in because they were sent to me in PR, but I would have purchased them with my own money because I love them that much. So she sent a little booklet, and these are the 3 new shades that they come in. I'll be swatching them for you, obviously, but these 3 right here, they look so pretty. You have that really pale bubblegum pink, there's a super hot pink, and then there's also a coral shade as well. So let me just open these up. I'm gonna just swatch the 3 shades, and I also wanna compare them to the other colors that I have. For example, I'm really interested to see how the bubblegum shade compares to the Ube Cream. Right away, I think this one's gonna be more purple, but let me just swatch the new shades first. Ooh, this is so beautiful. Definitely like that perfect cool tone baby pink. Okay, so here we have Intense Guava, Sunset Lychee, and then the Bubblegum shade. These are all gorgeous. I love the lychee one because it's kind of like a peachy nude. And then that intense guava on the top. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. I love the cool tone, but I'm just gonna quickly swatch Bubblegum and Ube Cream. I would say Ube Cream is probably the shade that I wear the most, but I love all of them. I just tend to wear cool tones a lot. So this is Ube Cream up on the top and then Bubblegum. So yeah, Ube Cream is definitely more purple than the Bubblegum shade. Next, I want to compare the Intense Guava to Strawberry Cream. I know Strawberry Cream is not going to be as bright, I can tell just from the packaging, but I still want to just do a quick comparison. These smell so good too. They have kind of like a candy scent. It's very sweet. So yeah, here we have Strawberry Cream on the top, definitely more subtle, more neutral, and then Intense Guava. And then I want to compare Sunset Lychee to these other two that I have, Watermelon Pop and Latte, because I feel like those both have kind of peachy undertones and they're a little more neutral. Okay, so here we have Sunset Lychee, Watermelon Pop, which actually is kind of close. I mean, it's not quite as peachy as this one, but they're not too different. I feel like if you swatch them out, like if you blend them on your cheeks, they might look really similar. And then we have Latte down at the bottom, which is totally different than both of these. So I don't think I really needed to compare that one, but these are just the warmest shades in the line. So for my look today, I'm going to start with Bubblegum and just see how that looks, but I also want to try Intense Lychee. I feel like both of these are cool tones, so I think they'll both work. So what I normally do is just put a couple of dots on my cheek, and then I take a brush, like this is the BK Beauty 107, and I just start stamping these out. And the blurring effect on these is so beautiful. That's why they're my favorite cream blush, because I know before I said these are my favorite. This is why. And you would think that creams wouldn't really do that and it would be mostly powder, but somehow this formula is so smoothing. It's incredible. They're also very pigmented, so you don't need a lot. I mean, even this really pale color is showing up pretty well on me. So just to show you how smoothing these are, I'll zoom you guys in. The cheek with the blush just looks like almost airbrushed over here on this side. And then over here, where it's more glowy, you can see so much texture. I hope you can tell the difference on camera, but over here, it's like all the pores just kind of disappear. So it is the best formula. I feel like even if you don't have a lot of issues with texture, it's still gonna look amazing on everybody just because of how smoothing it is. Like, it's so flattering. All right, so I wanna try Intense Lychee on this side. I might have lopsided cheeks, but I'll just maybe add some of this over here if the other cheek ends up being too dark. So, all right, I'm not gonna put too much because like I said, these are really pigmented. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm just gonna blend very quickly. Yeah, it's easy to go overboard with these, so definitely use them sparingly. A lot of times I'll just put it on the back of my hand and then pick it up that way. Sometimes you can have a little bit more control if you do it like that. But yeah, this shade didn't really need to be built up at all. I did like 2 or 3 layers of this one, and this is just in one shot. It's already darker. So, all right, so those are the new shades of the Huda Blush Filter. I'm so excited that she's just expanding the color range. So hopefully we'll see even more of those in the future. And then speaking of blurring blushes, I'm not gonna be able to try these on, but I still wanna show them to you. Too Faced came out with new shades in their Cloud Crush blushes, and these are one of my favorite powder formulas because just like the Huda Beauty ones, they are so blurring on your cheeks and they are such a beautiful, more finely milled formula. So they came out with a purple, which is my jam. You guys know I love a purple blush. And then they also have another hot pink shade called Super Candy Clouds. They do have their original hot pink shade, but I guess maybe this one's just supposed to be like even more intense. So we'll definitely compare it to the original one, but I want to show you just a close-up of these shades and do some swatches. So here's what the colors look like in the pan. The purple one does look a little bit deeper, so hopefully it'll still work with my skin tone, but these blend out so beautifully. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. So let me just do some quick swatches. So yeah, the purple one, like, it is dark, but it's also so soft and just really blendable. So I think if you just go sparingly with it, it'll be fine. I'll have to use it in a different video so that you can see what it looks like being applied. But here are the 2 shades. So we have Berry Dreamy up here and then Super Candy Cloud down on the bottom. And I definitely want to go grab my other hot pink one so we can see the difference. Yeah, so the original is Candy Clouds, which is this one right here. And then Super Candy Clouds, it's just like a deeper version of it, basically. So I'm just gonna swatch it next to the other two. I think it's nice that they did that because Candy Clouds, it is very pale and it's not going to show up on deeper skin tones. So I love that they made the hot pink version of it. So the original Candy Clouds is down here. You can see just how light it is even on my skin tone. So the new one is really just a deeper version of that. All right, so unfortunately I don't have a new lipstick to share with you, but I do have one that I bought recently that I haven't tried on camera yet. I have been wearing it just in my daily life, but it's from MAC and it's their Luster Glass lipstick in the shade Syrup. So this was recommended to me. I can't remember who it was now, but it was someone on TikTok and they were talking about lipsticks that are cool toned, but aren't like a bright pink or a dark berry shade. They're like a more Your Lips But Better color, but cool tones. And when she put this color on, I thought it looked so beautiful. I just want to show you a swatch of it. And if you haven't tried this formula from MAC, oh my goodness, it's like a balm. It is so nourishing and hydrating. I had never tried this formula before. It's beautiful. So this is what the shade Syrup looks like. It's just the perfect cooler tone pink, but without being like a bubblegum color or something too bright or too berry toned or purple. Like it's really just perfect. So I figured this color would go really well with this look today. And like I said, this formula is gorgeous. If you have dry lips, it literally feels like you're putting on a tinted lip balm versus a lipstick. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go about the rest of my day. I will do at least one check-in at the end of the night, but I'll try to do another one midday, maybe in natural lighting when I'm waiting for my son to come out of school, and we'll see what everything looks like at that point. So that'll be a few hours from now. And like I said, then I'll do at the end of the night. And I'm really curious to see if this Milk Makeup skin tint, it really holds up and if it starts to look a little bit better. Because right now I just feel like I'm seeing so much texture in my face other than where I put the blush. So, all right guys, I will check in with you in a little bit. Hey guys, it's 9 p.m. So I'm back for my final check-in and I did take some photos throughout the day, even though I didn't do like an official video check-in. So I'm gonna share those with you first and then we'll get into how I feel about everything in general. But one thing I will say is that I am disappointed in some of these products. So let's start with the Milk Makeup foundation first. So I did take some close-up photos of it in my car when I was waiting to pick up my son from school. I really wanted you to see what this truly looks like out in the natural daylight. And the one thing I really noticed is that this makes my skin look a little more textured than I would like. It's something that I noticed when I was inside in the studio lights, but outside I felt like it was even more the case. It definitely wasn't heavy or cakey. It didn't look dry, nothing like that, but I just felt like it made my pores look huge for some reason, and I'm not sure why. It could be because of the glow that this has. I mean, it doesn't have shimmer or sparkle or anything like that, but just the overall dewiness of it might be drawing attention to like every fine line and pore in my face. So I didn't really love the way that it looked at my check-in, and that was between 3 and 4 hours in. Now at this point at the end of the day, one thing I will give this foundation is that it lasts. I mean, it's still perfect everywhere I put it. It hasn't worn off at all. I haven't worn it for 12 hours. It's been more like 9, but at this point, most skin tints or tinted moisturizer type products would have broken down by now. They would have been rubbed off on my nose and my chin. And this is just really holding up beautifully. So I will give it that. I'm just not sure that I love how much this is drawing attention to every imperfection on my face. Again, this is a first impression, so I'll continue to play with this. I plan to use pore minimizing primers under this and see if maybe that helps to make my skin look a little bit better and smoother. So I'm not completely giving up on this yet by any means. Like I said, I do love how moisturizing it is in the wintertime, and I love how long wearing it is so far. Also, I know I mentioned that it felt very sticky when I first applied it, but it did sink in right now. Like if I touch my face, it doesn't feel sticky at all. I don't know how oily skin is gonna love this one because it is super, super hydrating. And as I mentioned before, it feels like you're putting on a very rich moisturizer. So I would recommend getting a sample of this first if you can. If you go into Sephora, see if they'll give you a little bit just to test out. But like I said, I will continue to play with this for sure. As far as the Huda Beauty blush, I have no complaints. I mean, I've been using this formula for months now and I really enjoy it so much. Like I said, it's one of my favorite cream blushes of all time. So as you can see, it's still holding up really well at the end of the day. I just love them. Cannot recommend them enough. When it comes to the About Face eyeshadow, I did take a picture of it about 5 p.m. So I want to show you what that looks like. This was about 5 hours in. And as you can see, it had broken down significantly. A lot of the pigment actually kind of gathered at my lash line and the rest had really faded away. It also was just ever so slightly starting to crease in my actual crease. So you can see there's a little line there. And if I'm looking at it now, it doesn't look any worse than it did then as far as the creasing goes. So it didn't crease that badly. I'll give it that. But it just faded so much and I was already feeling at the beginning like it wasn't as impactful as I was hoping it was going to be. And at this point now, I feel like it's hardly even showing up. So to be honest, I am bummed about this. I really had high hopes for it, but it's not my favorite liquid eyeshadow. I highly recommend the ones from Moira. They're really affordable and I just feel like they give more impact on your eyes and they last longer than this does. And I know that a lot of people really love these About Face liquid eyeshadows, so maybe it's just these particular new colors that they've come out with. Like I said, I haven't tried the other ones, so it's hard for me to judge, but just based on this one alone, I'm not super impressed. And recently I know I was talking about their new liquid blushes, which are fantastic, and I mentioned that everything I've tried from that brand has been thumbs up so far. So this is really the first product I've tried from About Face that I'm not super crazy about. And also when it comes to the Grande Wrap Mascara, I'm not super impressed with this either, unfortunately. I just feel like for the price, the packaging could be better. It just feels so lightweight and cheap compared to some of the other more expensive tubing formulas. The brush was just so flimsy and I felt like it was hard to coat my lashes. And even looking at my lashes now, I feel like they are a little bit weighted down. They're not as curled up as they were in the beginning. I mean, aside from the Thrive or the Hourglass, which are kind of closer to the price of this, I get better results with the e.l.f. Lash Extender, and this is $7. So I really felt like this was a big fail for me. It's not like the worst mascara in the world, but is it worth all the money? No. So anyway, guys, I think the clear winner of today's video are these Huda Beauty blush filters, and they're not even a new product. I feel like, you know, I've been using them for months, like I said. Also the Too Faced Cloud Crush blushes that they just launched, these new colors, they're really pretty and I can't wait to try these. I'm sure they're going to be amazing because this formula is great. But I think the About Face eyeshadow and the mascara were definitely big flops, and I'll have to just keep you guys updated on the Milk makeup. I didn't think this was bad, but it's not my favorite yet either. I'm gonna have to work with it a little bit. So anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. If you stayed all the way to the end, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and for staying to the end because it always helps out my channel. And I would also love to hear from you down in the comments if you've tried any of these products yet. What do you think of them, or are you planning on trying any? Let me know your thoughts. If you have some extra time and you'd like to watch another video, I'll put something right there that you could check out next if you're interested. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.